Actually, for quite a long time, even today, some countries such as the United States do not consider the economic, social, and cultural rights are human rights. It doesn't mean they have good record on economic, social, cultural rights, but they do not consider they have the obligation to safeguard these rights. As you just mentioned, the COVID-19 pandemic, like a mirror, it reflects their disregard of the right to life and the right to health. And it also magnified the inequality between the rich and the poor, and the black and the white. And for the developing countries, most of them have experienced and the victim of aggression or colonization. And in some least developed countries, people even suffer from hunger and extreme poverty. So if people have little to eat and dressed in rags, how could we talk about the good education, the colorful culture, the effective exercise of political rights? So for the developing countries, they may emphasize more on the economic, social, and cultural rights, especially the right to development. Actually, in 2017, the United Nations Human Rights Council put forward a new proposition. The contribution of development to the enjoyment of all human rights. Actually, development and human rights are interdependent and reinforced. Human rights is not only the starting point, but also the end, and must be the end of development. And development itself is a very effective approach to safeguard human rights in broadest way. As we all know, poverty weakens all human rights. That is why the eradication of poverty has become the primary goal of the 2030 SDG. China made great efforts to reduce and get rid of poverty. To the end of 2020, China has completed the eradication of extreme poverty, let 1/5 of the population live a decent life with dignity. I think it is undeniable that this is a significant contribution to the human rights progress.
If you look at, again, these terms, development, or developed under political discourse, these are also what I always call discourse power, where developed countries will want to impose some particular terminologies to small countries and say, because you people, you are in a process of going far to develop, maybe in this kind of scenario, you are violating human rights. So it becomes also an issue where we need to scrutinize and ask ourselves, where do we stop human rights? Where do we start understanding the concept of human rights? For us, we believe that it is contextual.
I think Chinese government has been very clear for a long time that we uphold the UN human rights standards. That means that we share the same understanding of human rights with most countries of this world. But we are in different development stage. We may have different priorities in developing our human rights and freedoms. For that reason, in the early 90s, we had a policy to focus to make our focus on the development of the right to development, and to make sure that our economic development is able to produce a result to help promote the human rights and freedoms. If you look back to these 30 years of development, we realize that was probably a very good choice. For example, if you take education, for example, for a very long time, our education investment on the GDP percent is very low. It's between 1 or 2% of GDP. But with the development of economy, we are able to increase our education investment up to more than 4%. That's not a very big percentage if you look at the number, but it takes a very long time to be able to reach that level. And it also shows determination of this government and Chinese Communist Party to improve the level.